you just go the Shop and Save canned brand compared to the actual raw vegetables. So what a lot of people will do is I have some friends who do this. They buy the canned spinach. That is not the same as the raw leafy spinach. And they want to argue with me that it is, but it's really not. So how long do you think it really sits in there? Who knows? The preservatives in there could keep the shelf life. Who knows? Maybe 2-3 months, maybe even upwards of 6 months. Can you imagine that? That spinach you're eating is 6 months old. A good thing to live by is that if your food can go bad, it's good for you. If your food can't go bad, then it's bad for you. So how many times have you left something in the back of the fridge and you pull it out and the expiration date, you don't even know how long it's been there, but the expiration date hasn't even hit yet. So chances are that is not good for you. If it can sit in the back of your refrigerator for a long time, it's not going to be good for you. So I hope everyone's gotten a little bit out of just the brief stuff we've talked about so far. We're going to take a quick break. I'm actually going to grab a glass of water myself, and we're going to take a quick break. We'll see you back in a couple minutes. And don't forget to grab that glass of water. We'll see you back soon. Perched.
Come on.
All right, welcome back from that short break. Next thing I really want to talk about is sugar and how devastating it can really be to your body. How many times do you look at little kids running around and every single thing that they ingest, whether it's a snack, whether it's a beverage, whether it's even a part of a meal, is based around sugar? I know my little guy Colton, he'll be 4 in August, and he loves, every time we go to the store, he's wanting to pull something off the candy rack. Yeah, it's easy to do, it's easy to give into, and even in moderation, that's the health detriment it's going to do to your son or daughter isn't going to be that great. But the more they eat it, the more it becomes a staple in their diet, to where after every single meal they get that Kit Kat, or after every single meal they get that Pixie Stick, or they eat, they drink a Coke or Pepsi or Mountain Dew with every single dinner or lunch, or even for every snack. I mean, what they're doing is they're setting down a baseline or a guideline of how their taste buds and how their palate is actually going to crave different things. So I've actually seen kids that have never had fast food ever in their life, and until maybe 9, 10 years old, when they go on like maybe a soccer trip or something, or maybe they stay at a friend's house, at their parents' house, and the first time they get fast food, they don't like it, or it makes them feel sick. I mean, can you imagine that? I mean, I know me personally, like, it's been a while since I've had fast food, so whenever I have fast food, if I have to do it as like a cheater day, it sits in the bottom of my stomach, and it does not go down very well. It doesn't digest in my stomach very well, because I'm used to fueling my body with certain things that are easily broken down. So when you get those things, the Arby's roast beefs, or the quarter pounders or Whoppers or whatever they're called at Burger King, your body's not used to breaking that stuff down. So it has to actually work overtime. It actually just sits at the base of your stomach, waiting for the body to throw more stuff at it to digest it. It's not used to digesting that. It's not used to having to work that hard to digest all that fat and all those different preservatives and additives in those things, and the hormones and things. So sugars. Not only if you take the sodas and the candy and the snacks out of it, but I'll almost be willing to bet that one of the favorite foods of your kids, and maybe even yourself, are breads and pastas. So I know a ton of different vegans or vegetarians that, yeah, that's great and all, but usually they substitute the meat for the pastas. So, or they'll substitute the meats for the breads, or for the pitas, or whatever it is they roll their vegetables up in. And that's actually doing something worse for your system than it is if you were to digest that meat. So not all meat is bad for you. We're actually made to be hunters and gatherers like we were hundreds of years ago, as we roamed the earth and actually had to kill our food and find our food and hunt and gather our food. Like that's the type of stuff that our body is made to digest and get the most out of. It's not made to get the most out of your pastaronis and hamburger helpers and different box things. I always tell everyone, just as a general easy peasy rule of thumb, if it comes in a box or it comes in a can, it's not good for you. So whether it says all organic pasta or all organic cookies or all organic whatever, just because it says organic on it or it comes from the health section of the grocery store doesn't mean it's good for you. And here's another thing I tell everyone. If this little section over here of the supermarket or the grocery store, whatever you call it, is the health section, then what is the other 95% of the grocery store? This is the healthy stuff here. It says it right at the top, health food section. So what's the other 95%, the other 15, 16 rows? Right? So that they're trying to tell you what they have out there is not good for you. And also, just because, like I said, just because it says organic on there does not mean that it's actually good for you. So what's a good way to really find out how it is good for you? A lot of people will read the labels. They'll pick it up, read the labels. Oh, let's look at, what do most Americans look at? Fat content. They look at carbohydrates. They look at serving size, and maybe sodium. Other than that, they probably don't look at a whole lot. Maybe some of your bodybuilders or workout freaks will look at the protein. But really, what you should be looking at is all those little things at the very bottom of there that are really hard to pronounce And if you can't pronounce it, it's probably not good for you. So what you want to do when you read labels is not only look at the serving size, which is good because a lot of times they'll try to trick you into, oh, there's only so many fat grams or there's only so many sugar grams per serving, but there's 25 servings in there, which most people know. But you want to look at all those little things in there, the things that they don't tell you about on the front of the box. How many sugars are in there? If you were to actually at the Maximize Living Makeover, I went to Doctors Kristen Gaines-Porlier and Rick Blaylock. What they did is they passed around a box of a Nutri-Grain bar. Most people think, as they walk out the door in the morning and grab that Nutri-Grain bar, oh, this is a healthy breakfast. But it's really not. And if you actually go through and count all the different sugars in there, that there's upwards of 15 or 16 different sugars in just one little candy bar, I'll call it, or Nutri-Grain bar, per bar. I mean, can you imagine that? As those sugars don't get broken down into your system, it gets turned to fat. 10 times out of 10. So whether it's the sugars from the pasta, the sugars from the breads, the sugars from the different grains we eat, the rices and things like that, if those don't get broken down 100% by the body, it gets turned to fat every single time. Because all of those carbohydrates, those simple carbohydrates, the simple carbohydrates are the worst for you. The reason being is because your body can't do much with them, and it's high caloric content. So there's high calories, but you don't get much energy out of it. So a calorie is just a form of energy. And if you're getting good calories every single meal, then you're going to not only feel fuller longer, but you're going to get more out of it. So I hope that makes sense to everyone. A good way to know, when you look at those different labels, a good way to know if you're looking at a sugar or not is if it ends in OSE. So like fructose, I know high fructose corn syrup is a big one that people, it's out there in the mainstream media now. And they actually have those the little comedy spoofs of the high fructose corn syrup where they say, oh, don't you know that's bad for you? And like, oh, yeah, that's what they say. Well, who's they? Well, actually, there's documented research out there, not only by the government itself, but also a lot of the leading medical journals out there, like the New England Journal of Medicine, the American Journal of Medicine. There's a ton of them out there. But they all have different high fructose corn syrup research studies that show it has a detrimental effect on your health. And I'm willing to bet on all the ketchups you eat, all the mustards you eat, all the dressings, all the spaghetti sauces, all the energy drinks and soda and pop that you drink, high fructose corn syrup is probably the first or second thing in there every single time. Gatorade, for example. Everyone thinks Gatorade is great for you. If you look on there, high fructose corn syrup, guess what? It's in there, and it's high on the list. I can't remember if it's the first or second one, but it's right there. So what is that doing to your body? That is straight sugar going into your body. So yeah, it tastes great. Yeah, it might give you a burst of energy when you're on the field to have those sugars in there. But if you don't burn all that, it's actually doing a detrimental effect or a detrimental cause of your body actually breaking down in the long run. So don't be so fast to grab that Gatorade, Powerade, Propel, or whatever the other ones are out there. Grab that water. There's nothing that substitutes very well for a glass of water. So not only does it quench your thirst, but it also, if you're familiar with the makeup of the body, your body in general is 70% water. So notice I said 70% water, not 70% coffee or Gatorade or Coca-Cola or Mountain Dew or Sprite or Sobe Life Water or Vitamin Water. It's 70% water. H2O. 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. Vitamin water it's healthier than a lot of the alternatives, and it's actually sweetened with a good form of sugar called erythritol or xylitol. But it's not the best for you. It actually still puts your body in an acidic state. So we want to push the body more towards a basic state. So what that is, just it deals with the overall pH of the body. So we want to put the body in a more basic state, and when you do, and you can do that by actually drinking better water. So there are actually different levels of water that you can drink. Most people think your tap water is going to be good. Is it better than the soda alternative? Of course it is. but in a lot of your